So much of why Ange Postecoglou's game plan went right against Bodø Glimt was summed up perfectly in the first goal inside the first 38 seconds yesterday. So many little nuggets to unpick. We're going to get into that very quickly. We're going to break down the game and what was a great night for Spurs. Welcome back to the Bowman YouTube channel. I hope you guys are doing very, very well. 3-1 at home against Bodø Glimt. Make sure to subscribe if you are new. Make sure to like the video. We also did a big preview for the game. We talked about Bodø in the run-up to it. We're going to do another one next week because that game is a unique test, and that is why that goal at the end of the game felt like a little bit of a gut punch for Spurs, right? You know, we wanted to go there with a 3-0 lead after controlling the game so well, being so disciplined and so good out of possession. And I'm going to talk a lot about that in this video. We were all confused when Ange Postecoglou dropped this team sheet, this lineup before the game. I don't think anybody saw that coming. But he spoke about Richarlison giving us energy, that experience on a big night like this. And we saw that in the first half, especially in the first 10, 15, 20 minutes of the game. It was a really inspired inclusion, as was Yves Bissouma's in midfield, which I was very confused about. I was, a little bit frustrated before the game. I think we all were, also hyped up. We were all there standing outside the South Stand, having our beers, singing, dancing in the sun, and then that team sheet drops, and then it's, Bissouma, frozen out for such a long time. I don't get it. Big game like this brought back in, but he and Bentancur worked so well as a partnership yesterday, and we kind of see that, not so much in the first goal, but it's evident throughout the game. It was a really good performance from Spurs, and I want to talk about in detail. I want to talk about this first goal, kind of break it down. I want to talk about our out of possession setup. I want to talk about James Maddison as well, who I thought was just excellent, and I think again has been one of the most disrespected players in the Premier League this season, and just even by some parts of our own fan base, to be honest, don't see the good work that he does for us. He talked the talk before the game and he walked the walk on the pitch as well. I want to talk about Yves Bissouma and Bentancur, and I also want to talk about Pedro Porro and Destiny Udogie, who I thought were back to their brilliant best yesterday in specific aspects of their game as well, which I want to come on towards the end of the video. But with Brennan Johnson, right? Tottenham yesterday, out of possession, were really, really disciplined. We turned the ball over and we exploited the space with Bodo happy to kind of step up onto us, happy to play their stuff, and Spurs picked them off on a few occasions. Should have scored probably more goals in that first half as a result of it. But the first goal, the white-hot atmosphere that was Tottenham Hotspur Stadium yesterday, it was impossible for these players kind of not to start quickly, with the atmosphere and the energy that was translated from outside the ground into the South Stand concourse, and then that just bellowed up into the stadium. And it was the best atmosphere I think I've been part of at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Better than Arsenal in 2022, and I think better than Ajax as well in our last European home semi-final. And we started really strong. Here, Porro in there quickly just to nip it back. Bissouma helping him as well. Good counter-pressing from Spurs after Bodo go long first of all. And what you've got brilliantly here is Bissouma and Bentancur working well as a partnership, winning the ball back together, playing actually as a pivot. And that was kind of evident in the average positions. If we go and look at those, you can see Bentancur and Bissouma very much working as a double pivot, very much working as a partnership together. And we've got some good examples of that coming later. Bentancur quickly out of his feet, waits. He's got 4 players around him. He doesn't want to rush the pass. Maddison's in space. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Bodo players kind of out the game, or 5 at least out of the game here. Bentancur just waits, picks the right pass, and Spurs are on the front foot. Into Maddison, who received the ball in this position kind of so many times yesterday. And look, in these kind of situations, I was a little bit surprised that, given how much this happened, I was a little bit surprised that he didn't fancy going with a Udogie, maybe, who's more of a 1v1 specialist. In these kind of situations where you're facing up your man, standing up your man, getting crosses or maybe getting shots off. Richarlison on paper doesn't seem like the perfect fit for that, but he added so much energy, which I'm going to come on to in our out of possession stuff. But Maddison quickly gets the ball out to him. Richie, Udogie on the overlap around him, as he did so many times yesterday as well. Richie just sort of slows down, waits for that option, gets a little bit more space for him to cross. And this cross that he digs out is so brilliant. It's really, really good. And I didn't really expect that from Richarlison, I'm going to be honest. Ball comes in, Johnson gets up there. But this is what I really like. And this is what Yves Bissouma did so well on so many occasions yesterday, just mopping up so much stuff, using his physicality, barging players off the ball, carrying that energy from the fans. Bosh, get out of the way. It's my ball, I'm having it. That's what he does here. Just leans on the player just enough to make him win the ball back. Comes to Porro. And Porro just waits. Again, Porro's weight of passing, which I kind of want to come on to shortly, was perfect again here. The composure that he shows in a big moment just to get that cross in. And look at Johnson. He's finding the space. He's already finding the space in the box, which is something that he does so well. You can see him here. He's just finding a little bit of space. Obviously, when you did, despite being confused about that lineup, you did automatically kind of think crosses into the box, which is again why maybe playing someone like an Odebear on paper would have maybe made more sense instead of Johnson, given how much obviously Odebear threatened against Forest with that 1v1 threat, that ability to cross. Obviously, we've got that from Porro as well, who was staying a little bit more high and wide, delivering balls into the box. But Richie does so well here, just to kind of back off, find half a yard, as he does so well. This is a really, really good header out to Johnson, who has again found the space in here. He's going to attack it, back post. Johnson, we know what he wants to do. He wants to get in there and he wants that first time finish. Really good, high octane energy, high energy start to the game. And like I said, you go back to the start of it, it's Bentancur winning that ball back in midfield. It's him being calm, not rushing the pass, playing it into Maddison. Spurs just calm, composed in everything that they kind of did, especially in our out of possession stuff as well. You can see here, right? This really, really impressed me with Spurs yesterday. There was a real discipline to our structure out of possession and our pressing. It was aggressive, it was deliberate, but it was disciplined. It wasn't gung-ho. You can see here a very, very clear structure. You've got Bissouma and Bentancur as that pivot. You've got Johnson, Maddison and Richarlison kind of playing the supporting role to Dominic Solanke as that focal point. It's a clear 4-2-3-1. There have been so many occasions where I think Spurs, in too many games, have gone too gung-ho. Chelsea at home, for example, is the one that always massively stands out to me when we were 2-0 up in that game as well, by the way, and we were pressing with kind of a 4-1-4-1 setup, trying to be really aggressive, and we were way too easy to play through. Here, it's very much more, not so much in this situation, but a lot of it was man for man when we kind of squeezed them back towards their own goal. But here, just really structured, really disciplined. Bissouma and Bentancur, like I said, working as that pivot together. Richie kind of steps up here, as you can see, obviously, forcing them to kind of go long. Again, not many options for them. They have to go long over the top, and Romero deals with that really well. Just shields it back to Vicario. Again, here you can see, playing out from the back, Bodo here. Richarlison going up to support Solanke. Obviously, the ball kind of works itself back inside here, but forces it backwards. Good pressing from Spurs. And then back here, Richie supporting Solanke in that kind of front two press. And this is what Udogie did really well. So many times, when Spurs forced the ball into those wide areas with Richarlison squeezing up to make a front two press with Solanke, it forced them to go out to the fullback a lot. And every single time, Udogie was straight onto that right back like a hawk. Here he gives away a foul. But again, it's a sign of the controlled kind of aggression and intent from Spurs in their press, because, you know, obviously he gives the free kick away, but look at the position that Spurs kind of forced them into. You've got Bentancur here as well, backing up this man, wanting to go into the back of him to win that ball back when it does come inside. You can't quite just see that actually, but Bentancur's just out of the picture here, right behind him. Let me just see if I can zoom out just to show you. There you go. I'll keep that zoomed out so you can see a little bit more of it. Bentancur there, just out of shot, waiting to. It was so well structured from Tottenham. Everything felt so connected. Our presses felt disjointed at times. It was far from that yesterday. And like I said, we were happy to sit off at times and kind of let them have the ball. But again here, Richie, that energy that Ange spoke about after the game that he wanted from Richarlison. And that is what he got. Again, kind of forcing this ball wide. And Udogie, once again, stepping up straight away, closing the passing lanes. Everyone's kind of got a man covered here. Bentancur, the run off of him. Maddison in there as well. The ball then comes inside. And Bissouma is just able to kind of pick it off. Again, forcing them to go a little bit longer, forcing them to panic a little bit more on the ball. There were a couple of times where they did play through us, but the way that Spurs recovered it was really impressive. And again, look at the position it's got us in. A little bit of a sloppy pass from Bentancur into Maddison there, but if it's better, we're absolutely in and we're running at them. Again here, just disciplined, out of possession in our kind of rest defence, but Udogie, again, in there straight away, loose pass, he's on it. Again, it's not even necessarily a loose pass. He's making those passes look loose by how aggressive and how intent he is with wanting to get that ball. I thought Udogie, over the last few games, especially both legs against Frankfurt and last night, the aggressiveness and the power and the anticipation of everything that he's done has been back to his best level, and I'm going to come on and talk about that from an attacking sense a little bit more later. but it allows us to kind of go inside. Richie runs off Solanke. It's a lovely little touch in from Solanke into Richarlison, and Spurs are away. It's a lovely ball then from Richie in between the defence through to Destiny Udogie, who's running onto it, and look at the situation, and Spurs kind of get themselves in as a result of that. Obviously, then you've got Richie kind of playing as the striker in the box. Udogie obviously gets the cross blocked and it goes behind. But again, Spurs just waiting, but being so aggressive when the moment arrives to win that ball back. It was really good. Again, here, Bodo trying to kind of play it out from the back. We kind of move it on. They have to go backwards. It works itself out here, and everyone's... Oh, let me just get rid of that, sorry. Everyone's got a man. Solanke is pressing down the centre half. Johnson is closing this pass out here to the fullback. Maddison, just keep an eye on Maddison here. He's been so brilliant in his pressing for a lot of this season, right? He's been so good, and he's been so good at this. I remember the Brentford game always stands out to me, his ability to kind of nick the ball high up the pitch at home. Ball comes out. Maddison, he even has a little scan. He even... Oh, let me just get back. He even has a little look, has a little scan. He knows that Maddison is behind him. If we can kind of just magnify this a little bit here, you can see him having a look. He knows Maddison is coming, but he can't do anything about it. It's a little bit of a sloppy pass because of the pressure put on from Spurs, and Maddison just nips in, nicks it, and then Spurs a little bit more composure in the final third, and that is another chance. It's another goal. Again, Bodo playing out, trying to play through the lines. Romero this time as well, who did this so many times as kind of that little safety net when they were able to kind of play through the press here. It takes, obviously, this pass takes Richie, Solanke, Bentancur, Bissouma out the game, but Romero, you can see it already there. Just steps up, reads it, perfect. Absolutely perfect. And then Spurs can turn it over. And this is what I really liked when we didn't... I know sometimes, and I felt it as a fan in the ground last night, is that when you do win that ball back, especially at home in a semi-final where there's that anxiety of we need to go and score goals here. Bodo away next week is going to be really tough, right? Obviously, you don't necessarily want to slow the play down. You don't want to control it. You don't want to dictate it. You don't want to just put your foot on the ball and take the sting out of the game. But that is what Spurs did really, really well to allow themselves to get into a position where they were 3-0 up. It wasn't rushed. It was controlled. And we've been asking for a lot of that with Ange this season. A little bit more control, a little bit more temperament. Slow things down. That's what we need. And that's what was in evidence here. Solanke just pops it back into Richie, back into Romero, who kind of receives it, and then he turns back, and it's Bentancur and Bissouma just kind of playing it in between them together here. Kind of, you know, a bit of almost a microcosm of the game together, working as a partnership, just slowing things down, dictating, taking the speed out, taking the sting out of the game, and then we can kind of go back to our structure and set up in build-up, where Bentancur and Bissouma are both... They're always there kind of moving, rotating, offering passing options. They've both got that experience of kind of playing in the six. They both happily make the move into that kind of six position and build up to receive it, but they don't get in each other's way. They're working as a partnership, and that kind of build-up structure there is a lot better for Spurs. There's kind of more options that can arise from this position. You can see here Romero, as he does so well, puts his foot on the ball, breaks the line into Bentancur, allowing... Look, actually, if I go back, just watch Porro here, right? When Porro receives it, or when Van de Ven receives it, just keep an eye on Porro at the top of your picture. Here, it's kind of already making that run into that space. Bissouma knows exactly what to do. Bentancur knows exactly what to do in terms of shuffling across. Bissouma into the right back position. Romero can then find this pass into Bentancur here, which he does, as always, taking two players out of the game. Bentancur here, again, head up. I thought Bentancur was brilliant yesterday. I think top of the kind of duel. If we can actually have a look at it, in terms of his numbers. It's gone over to the other side of the screen, annoyingly. Bear with 2 secs. It's just not going to show. But I can just read them out for you. Ground duels 1, 7 out of 8. Aerial duels 1, 4 out of 4. He was fouled once. He gave the ball away 12 times. He was a little bit sloppy on the ball kind of at the start, but he kind of grew into it. And there was a couple of passes where there was a little bit of risk that didn't quite come off, including this one. But you want him in these kind of positions, and it's really unlucky that it doesn't. It's just a little bit too heavy into Porro. But again, Spurs... Like I said, we were disciplined, we were calm, we were controlled, but we also reverted back to a really nice kind of build-up structure as well. Bentancur firing that in the lines for Porro, which is a little bit too heavy. But yeah, lost the ball 12 times. But in terms of duels, in terms of just hoovering up that ball and winning it back, 77% accurate passing rate as well. Pretty decent for Bentancur, who I think in this Europa League has really kind of shown up. And I've got a few things that I want to show kind of moving forward actually into that. Again, Spurs have got quite a lot of examples of their out of possession stuff. But again, this is a moment where they actually do play through us. It was one of the rare times they kind of did. Good movement. They're a good football inside, as we touched on in the preview as we move it along. A little bit of space on the edge of the box. Richie does well to kind of close it off, force it back for them to get the cross in. Spurs settled again. Good rest defence. We're just there. We're calm. We've got men behind the ball. Not too open, even though we've kind of been played through. And this is what Dom Solanke did so well a lot yesterday. His work off the ball and on the ball when he had it as kind of that hold-up player was fantastic. Just rolls him, runs away with it into Richie. Nice little first-time pass into Maddison, who can find that ball back into Udogie, and then Spurs can go out from there. Again, like I said, go back to that pressing structure. It's more of a 4-2-3-1. We're not committing stupid players forward. We're being aggressive. We're pressing high, but we're not going with that 4-1-4-1 that has caught us out. It's left too many gaps against players that are comfortable on the ball, as Bodo are as well, by the way. They wanted to play out from the back. Again here, Richie forcing that ball out wide. Comes to the fullback. Has to come back inside. We go back to the goalkeeper. Richie, that energy, again, stretching the pitch, making them go out to the fullback. And you see Udogie on it straight away again. Out to that fullback. He did this so many times. Richie and Solanke working well as a kind of pressing front two. And then Bentancur into the back of this defender. Here. Wins it back. That anticipation. Just really good from Spurs. Kind of make them go over to the right. Kind of pack them in that corner and we'll win it back. Just really, really good stuff from Spurs. And then Richie can find that little pass through to Maddison that doesn't quite come off. Moving on to one of the other stars of the show from last night, James Maddison. Again, so controlling, so calm in that midfield, dictated everything, pulled the strings for Spurs. And like I said, I think he's just having a really underappreciated season for Tottenham. He's been brilliant in this Europa League. He's really, it was against Alkmaar, against Frankfurt as well, just knitting everything together, just playing really, really well. And he was everywhere in that kind of midfield yesterday, dropping deep to kind of pick the ball up in build-up, as we've seen kind of so many times with Maddison throughout the course of the season. You look at his average position, wanting to go out to the left a lot, obviously. Bear in mind, Richie was kind of coming inside in that first half, playing a little bit more of front two out of possession. With Solanke, so Maddison likes to peel over there anyway. We know that he likes to do that, but he was helping kind of give the team a little bit of balance and obviously a bit of width as well. But here, these are the kind of positions and pockets that we were looking to find him in build-up. This is something that PSG did really well in the first goal against Arsenal, or the only goal against Arsenal the other night, unlucky Gooners, was, kind of drag everybody over to one side of the pitch and then kind of move the ball quickly centrally. Romero, very familiar build-up pattern for Spurs, this. Two centre-back split. Number 6 comes into this space. Obviously here, Porro kind of staying that little bit wider. Ball goes out to Porro. And then you can see Maddison just start to pick up that little bit of space on his own here. And it's about kind of finding him. Porro clips that ball into Dom Solanke again. The hold-up play, the link-up play again. Just selfless, excellent. Knocks it off, and then Maddison here can quickly get it out of his feet and then switch the play. Get Richie 1v1 isolated. He tries to play this ball quickly, first time, over the back here to Johnson, but it doesn't quite come off, it gets deflected. But again, that's what Spurs were trying to do. Have to let them build up here. Again, Spurs, good out of possession, kind of letting them play out from the back, but again, ready to kind of spring. Moving the ball over here, shuffling it over to the right-hand side. Udogie nips in, wins it back, and then Richie's running straight at that defence. Udogie gets a corner. But again, from the next kind of action here, Van de Ven loses the ball in that pass out to the left-hand side. Maddison, the tracking back here, excellent, to go and win the ball back. Wins it back so comfortably, so cleanly, and then Spurs can kind of go again. And we'll kind of just keep an eye on Maddison as it kind of rolls on here. As we said, moving out over to that left-hand side, getting in this little bit of pocket space. Happy to come back, but watch how this kind of develops. Udogie gives the ball back to Maddison here. Udogie gives it back to him. Oh, that line just not quite working. Udogie gives the ball back to Maddison here. This little first-time pass round the corner into Richie. So delicate, so cute, and then Richie's running into this space, running straight at the back, their back line. If Richie's finishing a little, it's just not the conviction in front of goal in these kind of chances for Richie isn't quite there. But again, a good opportunity for him, all kind of carved out and created by Maddison. This is the goal. Superb. This is a goal that he's already scored this season against Hoffenheim, but it's been coming a lot. Maddison, I remember doing a breakdown. I've done a breakdown a lot this season with Spurs. I remember doing a breakdown early on in the season, that home game against Everton where we won 4-0. Maddison was doing this a lot. Romero, those little clip balls over the top. And we've got another one to show with Romero, obviously, as well, outside of the goal. But Porro drives forward. The weight of pass, and you can't see Maddison's run from this from this angle. It wasn't in shot. But you could kind of see him doing it when you're in the ground. You see him peeling off straight away. The Prima and Porro have that Toby and Dele-esque understanding of each other. Maddison brings it down. Excellent first touch. But this is kind of when you see it and get the appreciation. Porro looks up. Maddison kind of playing just off Solanke. It's very Dele-esque. It really is. And it's such an excellent ball from Porro to find Maddison. Just such a brilliant run. He loves to do that. And because he's floating into so many different positions, he's made himself really, really hard to pick up. I think Maddison's off-the-ball stuff has gone up another level this season compared to what we saw last season. But it won't get the appreciation because obviously Spurs are in such a desperate situation in the league. But that doesn't mean we can't praise what certain players have done. And Maddison, I think his off-the-ball stuff has improved so much. Great touch. Brings it down. Excellent finish. One of those ones that sometimes you probably have to scuff a little bit to find the corner. But again, here we kind of move it through. Maddison, again, finding this sort of little bit of space and loving this little outside of the foot pass that he does so often and does so well out to Richie. And you see Udogie going around him. I don't usually like Richie I didn't really like the idea of him crossing from these kind of positions. I think this is where you want Tell or Sonny. But again, Richie gave us so much other good stuff yesterday. Obviously, the cross gets blocked anyway. But this is and so many things that Maddison did. He did he'd be involved and then get on the end of something. It happened a lot. And you see here, that's the cross from Richie that gets blocked. It gets headed away. Richie kind of competes for the ball. It comes back to Udogie. We work it back. And this is the one from Romero. Here, Romero's got it. Let me just zoom out a little bit so you can actually see Romero. Romero's obviously got it here. Oh, I don't know why it's not working this all bit. Yeah, Romero's got it here. And Maddison is making that run. And Romero over the top again. And Maddison's in. Has to kind of go at it first time, but again, he's been threatening the goal all season, and he was threatening it last night before he scored it as well. Again, such a brilliantly timed run and such a good pass from Romero into Maddison. And now I want to move on to Yves Bissouma as well, who did so much good stuff yesterday as well. Like I said, I was a little bit sceptical of his inclusion in the team. I really was. But it's only just because he's kind of just been frozen out and he has let us down in kind of big games. And I think he's a player that probably needs to be moved on. But he was great last night. It was really good working in the partnership with Rodrigo Bentancur. Here, just did this so much. When we did force him to go long, he's there kind of sweeping things up. And then here, that header, Udogie kind of play. I think it's either Udogie plays it back as a little bit misplaced or Bodo tries to play it forward. But again, from the same action, he's there to just intercept it, drive forward, lovely little cute back heel into Richarlison. Again, that calmness and composure on the ball from him. Here as well, when we are a little bit more stretched, a little bit more open, a little bit all over the place defensively here, Bissouma just in there to intercept. Again here, the pressure to go and win that back, just nipping in there to do it. Again here, Solanke probably should do better from these kind of opportunities, but Bissouma is in on the back of the midfielder to go in and make that ball his and Spurs turn it over. Really good stuff from him. And again here, what I love about Bissouma, this is what I love when he is at his best. Romero steps up, wins that ball. Bissouma, look at his body language here. He's got kind of two midfielders that will want to go and get that ball back, but he's kind of done them with that little feint to kind of be able to get away and then give himself a better angle to play this pass into Udogie, and then Spurs can drive forward. Really, really good stuff. Rodrigo Bentancur, again, I want to kind of highlight a few little bits from him yesterday. Romero stepping up, being aggressive, did that so well at times when they were forced to go long. Bentancur, just that calming presence, this is what I mean. Nips in there to win that first one back and just plays it back. And then the players just seemed calm. They seemed really up for it, but they felt like they knew what they were doing. It felt like they knew what their job was. It felt like they knew what their roles were individually, right? It really did feel like that, which was obviously really positive. Bentancur there, just the body language. Maddison does it all the time as well. And I think sometimes Spurs fans get a little bit frustrated about Maddison going up to the referee or arguing the referee or kind of moaning at other players, but then moan that we don't really have those leaders on the pitch. And I actually think Maddison is far more of that than people realise. I've been very critical of Bentancur, but in these big games in Europe, he has really stepped up and been a general and a leader in that midfield. And again, you can just see it with his body language. Calm down. Pointing, conducting, telling people what to do. Him and Bissouma, again, you can see they're close to each other, working as that base, that pivot in midfield. You can see there the kind of 4-2-3-1 shape in build-up as well as out of possession. This is what I love from him as well. This was classy. This was silky. This was prime Bentancur. This is what we saw against Liverpool those couple of years ago. Everyone kind of refers back to that. Wins the ball back, and then here, that little sidestep, that little dummy, that see you later, and I'm going to run past you, and I'm going to play it forward into Tell. Lovely little through ball to Udogie as well, and then Spurs can kind of go off the back of that. But finally, I wanted to touch on, before we touch on the Bodo goal and kind of what that means, Pedro Porro and Destiny Udogie were back to doing so much of what they do best yesterday. Porro in his passing here, the weight of pass a lot of the time. We saw it obviously for Maddison's goal. This little clip ball over the top to Johnson, perfectly weighted for him to run onto. Destiny Udogie on the other side here. Van der Ven plays that ball out. You can see Udogie, as soon as Van der Ven gets that ball, he knows where he then needs to go. Van der Ven obviously plays this ball out to Udogie out here. You can see Udogie kind of get into that more, into that inverted position. And then he's made this run. He's made this run into this space, and Udogie holding that width, allowing Udogie to underlap him, and Udogie can flick that ball around the corner. Udogie jockeying. He's not the favourite for that ball, by the way. He's not the favourite for this ball. The defender steps across, probably should get something on that and knock it out for a throw. But Udogie shoving off, see you later. And the power, the running power that he's got to then get in the box. Probably, he didn't really have a cutback on it. Actually, to be fair, I mean, if he gets his head up, Johnson does really well actually here. You kind of can't see it in this image, but Johnson does really well to kind of get from the back post into this kind of cutback position, similar to what he did against Southampton for that goal he scored a few weeks ago. Udogie, I can kind of see what he's trying to do in hindsight. I was a little bit frustrated that he shot at the time last night. Probably could have got his head up and cut back to Johnson, but again, so much of what we saw last season with Udogie, shove you off, see you later, I'm running past you. That feels like that fitness and that mobility and that strength has come back into his game, which is really positive. I love Udogie, really, really do. Porro here to kind of finish off on the fullbacks. This weighted pass, the disguise on it as well into Kulusevski here. He's got no right. He's got no right to find him. He's got no right to find Dejan Kulusevski, but he does it. Does it so well, so cute, so disguised. Little ball into him, and then look at the position that Kulusevski is in. And I think he snatches at this a little bit. And I think there's maybe a bit of a conversation to be had around Kulusevski and kind of his fitness and stuff at the moment and his sharpness. But again, the Bodo goal to kind of finish off, it's a little bit. I think it hurts a little bit more, and it's a little bit more deflating because it's just unlucky. Like, they didn't really have anything in the game. They had that one chance just before half time, obviously, but it's just a bit unlucky from a Spurs perspective. It's a big deflection. Bentancur and Bissouma, they're trying to get there. It's a little bit poor, but there's bodies on the line. It just flicks up over Vicario, and it's in. And that will give them confidence. It will give them that little bit of confidence going in to that second leg, because they know at home they're very hard to stop. I think they've got like a 70% win ratio at home in the Europa League. It's unique conditions. It's tough conditions. Ange just said that we're not going to prepare and play on a artificial pitch before the game and all that kind of stuff. Whether you think that's right or wrong is another thing, but it's going to be a unique test, and it feels a little bit deflating. But again, last night was such a brilliant night overall for the club and the atmosphere and everything, and we played really, really well. And look, nobody expects us to go away to Frankfurt and get the job done there, to come back with that win. Nobody expects us to do that. We were disciplined, we were good, we were strong, we let them have the ball, we were solid in our defensive structure like we were last night for pretty much the whole game up until that goal. So we can definitely do it. It's not a disaster like some people are making out. I've had some comments saying it's a bit of a disaster. It's not. And I feel better about it today than maybe I did last night. But it was really good from Spurs. Really good out of possession stuff. Good game plan from Ange. I understood it. It didn't make sense at the time, but I understood it by half time. I understood it in the first sort of minute, 30 seconds of the game when we went 1-0 up. I got it. I understood what he was trying to do. So fair play to him. And we've not got one foot in that final yet, but, we did our job last night. I would have taken 3-1 probably before the game. I think I predicted 3-1 actually. We're always kind of good value to concede a goal, obviously. But yeah, good result for Spurs last night. Really good performance. Shame about the goal, but we move on to next week. There'll be another video out next week previewing Bodo. The away leg. It's going to be a unique, tough test, but we'll be there and hopefully we can rise to it. Up Spurs. Thanks for watching the video. Make sure to like and subscribe if you are new.